have a question for some black men, because I know it's not all, so don't come for me saying she said all. I never said that, but I do have a question for some, specifically the black men who choose to date white women, because that is where I have seen it the most. But I was about to go into the store, right? There was a black man there. He was with a white woman. You could tell they were together. Okay. As I'm getting ready to come into the establishment, I'm right behind them. He holds the door for me. I said, thank you. He said, oh, you're very welcome. Okay. There was a black lady right behind me. He let that door go and slam in her face. And I looked, and I even said to him, I said, oh, that was very rude. And he said, what happened? I held the door for you. I said, yes, you did. I said, but why did you let it slam in her face? And he just kind of smirked and walked.
I call cap. I call 100% cap. This is all nonsense. And it's just continue to feed into and perpetuate a stereotype that is not true. So you telling me, let's put this in perspective real quick. She's going into an establishment. She didn't really say or specify what the establishment is, but I know that there's a lot of establishments. If you're going into a grocery store or you're going into a restaurant, a lot of times, most of the time grocery stores, they have sliding doors and stuff like that, right? But let's say, for example, that she decides to go into an establishment where you have to hold open the door, which there are plenty of, right? And you see this black guy and he's with a white woman. So you automatically assume that he only dates white women. Cool. All right, got it. Then he holds open the door for his girl. He continues to hold it for you, who a lot of people would say is white presenting. And then a black woman, one and one, is coming and then he lets it slam in her face. And then she goes over and checks him in front of his girl, in front of his white woman, girl, whatever it is that you want to talk about. And he checks him on behalf of the black woman. The black woman doesn't say anything. And then he goes back and forth with you and he says, what? I held open the door. And then you say, but you let it slam in that black woman's face. And then he just smirks and walks off. Now, I remember this woman. I believe that I've reacted to a previous video that was something white, black, because she's like either biracial or she's raising a biracial child or she's dated a black man or she has a daughter that dates black men. So the majority of her content has to do with something racial. So then she says that she sees this all the time. Are y'all going for this bullshit? Y'all gonna let them keep perpetuating this narrative so that they can make black women feel some type of way? I'm not going for it. Honestly, immediately into this story, I am not going for this. You cannot sell me on the fact that this is a real story. 4 different people sent me this video. I didn't even vet it before I decided to throw up on the screen and then go ahead and start to react to it because I knew it was going to be some nonsense as soon as I read the title of this video, and I knew there was going to be a lie. Man, listen, bro, these people are making up stories on the internet in order to create content, and they also messing up the narrative and the stereotype that continues to feed into it so that women can then say, hey, you are ally, you on our side, but if we say something, then we ghetto. Because the whole black fatigue thing is a thing right now. And so now you got these people that are making up stories on the internet to try to create this narrative. And then now, as usual, is men, specifically black men, that then become the enemy from this made up man. Dog, you're never going to sell me on this story. You're never going to sell me on this at all. Dog, we got to start calling cap. Just because people tell this story, just because they say it, it does not mean that it's right. It does not mean that it's true, and it does not mean that it's real. You're never going to convince me that this really happened in real life. But for the sake of conversation, I have not seen this video, and I have not seen the rest of it, so we're going to entertain it. Let's hear the rest of what she has to say.
Walked off. I have noticed that a lot of black men that specifically date white women like to treat black women horribly. And
how have you noticed this? Look, I promise you I'm going to let the video just rock. But it's come on. How have you noticed this? I don't even see a whole lot of interracial couples that are, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not close to me. I don't see a lot of interracial couples. So I don't know a lot of, so how would I be able to know how they treat black women if they decide that they want to date outside of their race? This is such bullshit, bro.
I will never understand that shit.
And I'm married to
I
a
do
black
not
woman.
give a damn who you choose to date. You can date whatever fucking race of people you want to date. I don't give a damn. But why must you treat black women so horribly when you choose to date outside of your race? And I have seen this more than once, so don't tell me that was just him, because it's not. I have witnessed it, that when a black man chooses to date another race, he chooses to treat black women like trash. And that's the most ignorant shit I have ever seen in my life. I will never understand that. You have a right. You can have your preference. You can date whoever the fuck you want to date. This is a free country. Nobody said that. You can love whoever you want to love, but why must you just treat black women horribly when you choose to do that? That is the most insane thought process I have ever heard of. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I was dating a black man that specifically treated black women horribly, that specifically just degraded black women, talked down on them, that would be an automatic deal breaker for me. Because why? Your mother is black. Your sisters, if you have them, are black. Your grandmother is black. Why would you do that? Just because you choose to date outside of your race never, ever, ever gives you the right to degrade black women. It's the most disgusting behavior I have ever seen, and I have seen it so many times, and I would love for someone to tell me why. Why do you do that? It's just sickening. Like, I just can't. I would say good day, but that just pissed me.
Yeah, it just pissed you off. So basically, what you see happening here is there are women like this that are sitting here trying to perpetuate this and trying to sell you this narrative, and they all doing it for content, they all doing it for money. This is not a real story. I'm going to repeat it very, very clearly for the people in the back. I really want y'all to understand what's going on. This is not a real story. It is not a real thing. I do not believe this woman even a little bit. And I'm tired of them race baiting and women that are white presenting. That's what a lot of people like to say. And I am a person that absolutely positively rocks with everybody. Looking for allies and looking for people to subscribe or to rock out with their content just for the sake of creating content so that they can monetize, when in reality, this is not a real thing. I don't believe it at all. Matter of fact, most guys that I know that date outside, they don't care. And as a matter of fact, they will bust down pretty much anything. They just have a preference for a certain demographic of women. They treat everybody with respect. They tend to be the type of people, guys that date white women, they tend to be the type of people that are more, they have a higher tolerance for ignorance. And they can observe it, and it doesn't mean that they react to it, but the reality of it is that they are, at most times, they are the ones that catch the brunt of people's narrative or discrimination or hatefulness or judging. And so they tend to be a lot more patient. They tend to be a lot more caring. They tend to be a lot more attentive. They tend to be a lot more careful with how it is that they treat other people, because they already understand that people look at them and they treat them a certain type of way because they used to getting it from their own community. So why would they then perpetuate this same narrative? And I'm not saying that it can't be true, but they don't openly do that. And then they always try to preface it by saying, but I'm not saying all, but it definitely happens. You have not seen this. This is not something that happened recent. This is a story that y'all lying about. And I'm tired of people getting on the internet acting like this is a real thing. This is not a real thing. This is not really what happened. And it's bullshit. It's 100% bullshit. But maybe y'all believe it. Maybe y'all rocking out with it. I'm always going to put a link to the content creator in the description, because I like to give credit regardless of whether or not I agree with them. But let me know what y'all think inside of the content. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments, family.